Hey guys. So we're going to be moving forward with working with proportions. Remember, proportions are the things that look like the fractions, okay? Proportions, they look like the fractions. They look something like this right here. So for today's lesson, you will need a Chromebook, a pencil, and your workbook. You will also need a calculator, but you can use your Chromebook for this. Splitting this lesson into 2 days, and we're going to be working with percent increase and decrease. Okay, increase. We talked about this word the other day. You guys wrote it down in your workbook, or excuse me, in your vocabulary folder that you guys have. The increase, meaning it's going up, and the decrease. Okay. So today's goals is that we're going to be able to solve percent increase and percent decrease problems. And we're going to be able to do this 2 ways. One way is we're going to be able to write an equation, but we're also going to set up our proportions. Today, we're going to focus on the proportion side of things. Tomorrow, we're going to really hit hard the equations that go along with it. Okay, so our first activity here is activity 8.2. Go ahead, flip to activity 8.2. This problem is on page number 50. Page number 50. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with 2 words here that you may not have seen before. Interest and depreciation. Okay, interest, you may have seen it as thinking like, hey, I'm interested in something, but we're going to be talking about it in terms of money, and depreciation. Okay, interest and depreciation. So to help us understand these words, I'm going to go ahead and add another slide here. Okay, so you have the word interest. Okay, when we see this word interest, it is going to always talk in terms of an increase. Because in an interest situation, we are always adding money on. We are always adding money on. And we'll look at the exact definitions here in just a minute. But looking at these 2 words, interest and increase, what do you notice that you could possibly recognize and say, hey, this is how I know it's going to be an increase? That means I'm going to add it on. If you said, hey, I notice interest starts with in and increase starts with in, and I can remember if it's interest and increase, that's a great way for you to remember that an interest is always an increase. It's always adding on. The other word we have is depreciation. Okay. I want you to look at this word before we break it down. What do you notice in this word when we say depreciation? Depreciation. Is there anything that really stands out to you that may help you understand this word? Or maybe something that helps you remind you if it's an increase or a decrease? Think about that for a minute. So some of the things you may have noticed within this word is the word appreciation. Appreciation. And you may have heard of the word appreciate, meaning that you care for something, that you really appreciate it. Okay, so let's break that up. So we have appreciation, and we also have D, D-E, D-E. Well, with the word D, or with the prefix D, you could be thinking of the word decrease. So we have decrease and we have depreciation. So we can probably assume, or we could assume, that a depreciation is always a decrease. Okay, so we could think of a depreciation as a decrease of appreciation. So it's something that's going down, something that's not worth as much anymore. So we have the word depreciation and decrease, okay? And the word interest and increase, okay? So let's go ahead and look at each of these definitions and see if they match what we came up with. And we're going to add these to our math vocabulary work, or our math vocabulary folder. Okay, so the folder, not your notebook on Google Classroom, but your folder. So the first one was interest. We talked about interest and thinking about it in terms of increase, that IN right there, increase, interest. Interest is paying, so you're paying money, a charge for borrowed money, okay? Borrowed money. So you're paying an amount more than what you borrowed. So again, it's an increase. You're paying an amount more than what you borrowed. Usually they do this based off of a percentage. Another way you can see interest is in a savings account, okay? At a bank, a savings account, or not usually a checking account, but any of those like extra money accounts. So you can collect interest. So again, it's an increase of your money. So increase of your money, that IN. In your savings account. So they may say something like, hey, you get 4% interest on this savings account. That means you are gaining 4%. You are rising, increase, interest, 4%. To go ahead and record down the definition for interest in your math vocabulary folder. Go ahead and record that down now. What does interest mean? What does it make you think of? Remember to include a picture as well. Okay, so now you should have what the word interest means and a picture associated with what you think it means as well. The other word, like I said, we're dealing with is depreciation. So we worked this word out and we said, hey, there's D-E, like decrease, but also the word, or part of the word, appreciation. We have appreciation. So when we put that together, we thought of the word, hey, it's appreciation that's going down. Well, when we're talking in terms of money here, it's a decrease. Hey, there's that magic word, decrease in the value of something. So it's a decrease in the appreciation of something. We talk about money here, okay? So the big example that I give my kids is cars. If your parents have ever bought a car from a car dealership, drove it off the lot, and then let's say they decided 2-3 years later that they wanted to get a new car. When they bring it back to the car lot to sell, it's not going to be worth the same amount of money that it was before. That is depreciation. It's a decrease in the appreciation of the money of the car. So keep those two words in mind. Go ahead and write this word down in your math vocabulary folder as well. And remember to write or draw a picture that goes along with it. Like if I were you, I would probably draw a picture of a car because a car is one of the big things that, you know, when you take it off the car lot and then when you bring it back, it's not worth the same amount of money. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what these two words mean, we're going to use these words to help us solve some proportions, to help us solve some problems. Okay, so this is on page number 50. This is on page number 50. Money in a particular savings account increases, there's that magic word again, increases, so it's going to go up by 6% after a year. Okay, so this would be a type of interest. Interest increase. How much money will be in the account if your initial, so initial may be a hard word for you to know, but if you think about it, your initials are just your first letter of your name. So like, for example, my name is Kelsey Johnson. So my initials are KJ. Same idea here. When we talk about initial amount, we're talking about starting amount. That should get your mind rolling, and you should be thinking, hey, my starting amount is always 100%. So let's go ahead and we'll work through the first one together, and I'm going to give you some time to work on the next three. Okay, so $100 is what we start out with. So $100 is my 100%. I know in my problem that it increased by 6%. Okay, so 6% is my other amount. So I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute. I want you to go ahead and solve this. I want you to go ahead and solve this proportion. 1 minute on the clock. Okay, that is 1 minute. So let's go ahead and take it step by step through to solve it. Remember, we're going to divide first. So we're going to do 100 divided by 100, which is the number 1. And now we're going to take 1 times that next number. Notice we're kind of making a circle here. Times 6, and we're going to get $6. Okay, but the thing here to remember is going back to our problem. It is an increase, so it's going to go up. We're going to add it on. So 100 plus 6. So my total amount is $106. Okay. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I would like for you, do not worry about this last one, but I would like for you to do proportions for these 3 to solve how much money is in the account after a year. Okay, it's 6% increase for all of these. Okay, so 5 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and solve these in your workbook. You have about a minute remaining. Okay, so that is our 1 minute. Let's go ahead and talk through each of these problems, okay? Let's go ahead and talk through each of these problems here. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my work for my last one. Okay, so my next one is they're going to start with $50. Remember, starting means that it's your original, means it's your 100. 100 and original. Both start with the letter O. Okay, so $50 is what I start out with. And that's 100%. And I'm trying to find 6%. Okay, so to solve it, we're going to do 50 divided by 100. So you should get 0.5. 50 divided by 100, 0.5. And then we're going to take this number and multiply it by 6. And you should get 3. Okay. The key here, though, is remember it's an increase. So we're raising the amount. So 50 plus 3. So your total new amount is going to be $53. Okay. So let's go ahead and do it with 200 and change my color up for it. 200. So we're starting with $200 in my account. And if you did not get those down or did not solve these, you should be solving them along with me now. $200 is my 100%. and I'm trying to find 6%, okay? So 200 divided by 100. 200 divided by 100. You should get the number 2. And now we're going to do 2 times 6. And you should know that's 12. And remember, it's an increase, so we're going to add it on. So 200 plus 12 is 212. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to solve, bless you, I'm not going to solve this last one for you. Since we have gone over 3 that are very similar, I want you just to write your answer off to the side. Write your answer off to the side like you have with the other ones, and check your work, okay? Check your work. See if you've got it right, okay? So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a different question. So the different question, so value of the new car decreases, oh, there's that magic word again, decreases by 15%. By 15%, okay? So decreases by 15%. So that means it's a depreciation, okay? I want to know how much will the car be worth if my initial, remember my initial is what I start out with, like your initials are your first letters, decreases by 15% if I start out with 1,000. So let's go ahead and solve this one together. And then, like I said, I'm going to let you solve the other 2 by yourself and not worry about this one right here. Okay, so we're going to start out with $1,000. And remember, we're starting out with it, so that's our 100%. So $1,000 equals 100%. And we look back at our problem, and we know that it decreased by 15%. So we have that 15%. Okay, so now we're set up and we can solve it. So remember, we're going to make a circle with it. We're going to go the way that there's a number underneath. So 1,000 divided by 100, 1,000 divided by 100 is 10. And now I'm going to take my 10 and I'm going to multiply it by 15. Multiply by 15. And I get 150. And so, yes, that's what 15% is, but we've got to go back to our problem and look. It's decreasing. So remember, increasing is adding on. Decreasing is going to be taking away, going to be subtracting. So we're going to do 1,000 minus 150, and we should get $850. Divided first, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer. We're going to do 3 minutes since there's only 2 problems here. And I want you to solve these 2 problems. Same situation. It's decreasing by 15%, and this is my 100%. This is what I'm starting out with. So 3 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and begin. What color?
Color.
You have about 2 minutes remaining. About 2 minutes remaining. That is red. Remember, you gotta click this. You have about a minute remaining. About a minute remaining to solve those two proportions. You're solving these two proportions right now. It doesn't come off, baby. It doesn't come off. It's not a lid. You have about 30 seconds remaining. Okay, so that is the 3 minutes. If you do need a little bit more time, you may pause the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the questions. So I'm going to do red for 5,000. So we'll do 5,000 first. So remember, 5,000 is my original amount. $5,000 is my 100%. And we are trying to find 15%. Okay, so we can solve this by doing just exactly like what we did before. We're going to divide 5,000 divided by 100, and you should get 50. And now we're going to do 50 times 15. 50 times 15, which is 750. But remember, the key here is that it is decreasing, so we're going to take it away. So we're going to do 5,000 minus 750, and we get 4,250. For this last one, like what we did on the last problem, I'm not going to solve this, but instead this is going to be your cool down question. I would like for you to solve it off to the side for me. When you finish this, if there is any time left, please continue to work on your Lesson 7 Jamboard, filling in those proportions. If there are any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you guys, and we will continue on with this lesson tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.